Good evening. Oh, put on the light. Ding. I got a touch lamp. I was just playing around with the computer tonight, and this morning it's getting late. It's 6 in the morning. Sorry, that's not that funny, but no, I just started thinking about all those Jesus stories again and all the stuff they go on about, and back it must be about 10,000 years ago, I reckon. It's a long time ago that Jesus walked the earth. I was just sort of a tinker tailor or something. What do you call them? A tinkerman or something? They travel around with like a coach on the back with a little horse. My name is Jesus. I can't remember my last name. It was something like people expect you to know things straight away. It takes a while to remember. You got to sort of think back over different memories. It's like people say, oh, when you're a kid and you're running in the backyard, like, what colour were the flowers? It's like, fuck, you remember them. You can see, I can see the flowers in Mum's backyard. I know the geraniums were sort of pinky sort of colour. Partly because I know that it's the colour of geraniums, but sort of a red colour, aren't they? But yeah, my surname, I'm pretty sure it was Jesus. So I travelled around. I had a little sign on the back of my little little cart, and I sold little kind of herbal. I was sort of one of the first naturopaths back then. So, I suppose I found a naturopathy in a way. I used to make up herbal remedies and things and medicines that were kind of helpful. They treat sort of severe fevers and things and stuff like that, which was pretty common. You didn't have all the super bugs now that would kill people. They just make people sick back then and sort of just ill in bed. The things I would give them would sort of warm them up inside, and it might have been Lutheran, Jesus Lutheran, or something like that. It was something like that. It was a word that we know, like Jesus Lutheran. I think my name was. Yeah, something like that. And I was like a traveling sort of medicine man, but when I was a little baby, I was about 5 years old or something. The thing they do to test you, they string you up on a cross, nail your hands up. They were pretty cruel back then, And we're walking around the area I was born. I was born in near Adelaide, near the Sea of Galilee. And this is sort of where I used to live, around Melbourne. And, it was unfortunate what happened was sort of this Australia broke away, from the mainland up there. Africa, Middle East, Egypt was sort of in that little cove. Sort of broke off. As a little baby, I was strung up in this cross, and your family was strung up too. And Dad died. Yeah, it's pretty sad how he died. He died watching us, thinking we'll all die. and we're all up on crosses with our backs to each other. So I was down the bottom, I was the smallest. Then I had my two sisters behind me, and I couldn't see them. And my younger sister, she couldn't see her either behind her. And she could see me though. And then Mum, and then my dad. And Dad was so grieving watching us all. He died up on the cross. And then once he died, I don't know whether it was his strength or something in me or something, but I pulled my arms off the cross, the nails out. I was only a little boy, but I was, the embodiment of God, or whatever you want to call it. So I had a bit of extra strength in me to sort of manipulate matter, and other people don't have it. They're sort of at the mercy of it. When I got down off it, it was like, it was sad Dad had died, but he was sick anyway. He was old, so people have babies when they're old, And I rescued my mum, my sisters, and went back to town. Everyone was just like wandering around, sort of the eyes shuffling around behind, looking at us. And that's why I ended up leaving and just becoming a travelling sort of medicine man. I suppose I got the reputation of being some kind of great spirit because, I could heal people and sort of make people feel good, and I sort of turned that into making medicines. But the twist is, I'll get to the twist. But Mum and my sisters left. They just wanted to be together. Not sure what happened to them really. I took off by myself. I grew up. A few years later, when I was a bit older, and then lived my life as a medicine man, healing people, making people well, sort of almost performing miracles in a way. And eventually, rumour got around they're after me because, I was making people well, and so I took off to the desert. That's how people would escape. They'd go off into the desert, and no one would be brave enough to go out there, but I would. I'd just wander off. And I went out there and just sat in the desert till all the danger passed, and went back. And I think 2 or 3 of the guys who knew me come over to me and sort of interested where I was, and sort of told them, and they got all excited and like, come on, talk to us, give us your spirit and all this sort of stuff. They're all interested why I survived all these problems all the time. So I never really ever got hurt, I'd get hurt, but I'd get out of things, like I'd escape. So yeah, I never really got hurt, but by the end of my life, I was getting a bit on. People only lived to about 50 back then, I was about 40 something, I think, or late 30s. It was sort of the end of my time. Now we live a lot longer these days. Back then, you get done by sickness or something would kill you pretty early on. I was about 38, I think, or something like that, getting up to 40. And these guards come down and grab me, and all the other guys were sort of gathering around, sort of saying, what's happening, and denying they knew me and all this sort of stuff. And And they took me away for a while, and then I came back, sort of explained to them what was wrong, and they said, I can start my own church. So I started like a brotherhood sort of thing. It's not Brotherhood of St. Lawrence, but it's something like Brotherhood of Saints or something. It's where the word saints come from. So I think I lived in the town. It was something like Saintus or something, or Saints or something. We called ourselves saints. And from there it was kind of interesting. I just spent a lot of time teaching people what I knew, sort of doing nice things for people, and sort of funny how I ended up dying at the end. I kind of, I'd walk a long way sometimes into town, and this other guy from town, I think it was my brother, I didn't really know him very well. Brother I never knew. I'd meet up with him and we'd share stories, and I dressed in red. I had this big red cape. I was like a centurion by then. And this other guy, this poor little bloke, little beggar guy dressed in white, would come and meet me. He had a white gown. And, he'd tell me all the stories from town, and I'd report them back to the, the leaders, and anyway, his name was something like Jehovah or something. Anyway, he liked my name. He liked Jesus. Jesus Lutheran or something my name was. But I changed my name then to something like Aurelius or something. It was something like Aurelius, not Maximus, but it was something like that, Aurelius. I think it was Aurelius. I can't think of the exact names right now. Something of Aurelius or something like that. Anyway, I sort of protected this guy's Jehovah. Gave him things to look after the people. I was quite kind, even though I was quite a stern man by then. And I'd sort of proven my strength, and I was chosen as a centurion. Getting off the cross, they kept me in mind for being a centurion. That's how they tested centurions, if they could get off the cross. And they all had scars where they'd been nailed up. They did it to the young boys, not so much any of the girls. They were just there to have babies, really, tend to the kids. It's pretty cruel, really. They just grab people and do it. And if you got off the cross, they'd put you in mind as a centurion, or some kind of guard or a leader, or some kind of worker up in the palaces. And this Jesus fellow, not Jesus, Jehovah, he took my name though. We both had the same name. He said, I like your name, can you call me Jesus? And I said, oh, call me Aurelius or whatever. I'd changed my name by then to whatever it was. I probably don't want to remember it. I don't want to tell everyone every last detail of everything I remember, but and that guy went off to some pretty nice sort of lifestyle after that, But I think it was sort of documented what was sort of going on at times, and I think later on it was found out that I was talking to this guy, and he took my name, and so I ended up getting, hauled away. So a lot happened in a short, a lot of things happened in over a year or so after that. It was sort of cast back into the town. No longer centurion. Didn't have a name. My name had been taken by some other guy. And this guy was known around town as Jesus, and he'd sort of, taken stuff that I'd taught him. He didn't have medicines, but he'd wander around doing nice things and this kind of thing, But he just ended up dying something. I can't remember what. Probably leprosy or something. Mia strung me back onto the cross again. They did it a bit harder this time now as an adult. Been some sort of traitor or something, to telling them my secrets or whatever, which I hadn't really, but I've been consorting with the townspeople, and so they hung me up with the cross again. And funny thing is, by then I wasn't really afraid. I just went willingly. I just said, yeah, all right. And I picked up the cross and walked up the hill. And it wasn't like all these movies, for a good reason. I'll tell you the twist at the end. But yeah, I was documented down as the god of King of Kings and all this sort of stuff, for a long time, This other fella who died, it's funny, they crucified me, but they remembered him, it was like he got all the credit. So he was thought of as the god, But yeah, the twist is later on, years later, probably 8,000 years later, they might have done small sort of theaterettes of it. But yeah, this other sort of group of people had come in from this was after Australia had broke away from the mainland, and we'd sort of lost our home. Not really sure how long ago it would be now. 10,000. It sounds about right, but I'm not sure exactly the time frame. But it's almost like they were filmmakers, I suppose, setting out to challenge God again. They'd had all these other experiences with Moses and all these other people, and they're always looking for who was God, where'd he go, and all this sort of stuff. And so when this other kid was born, this little boy was born, all these wise men came to test him with their healing sort of incenses and things. And they say gold, incense, and myrrh, but it wasn't really those three things specifically. It was probably a whole tray of things. They come down and tip it on their head and test it and rub it and see if it, come off a certain colour, and did all these things, put gold in his hands, see if he held it or if he dropped it, or this little baby. And they deemed that he was, the God because of the way he behaved. And so anyway, he was raised that way, everyone thinking of him that way. So this is the modern Jesus we know, the sort of reenactment. It's happened a lot through history. It's nothing unusual. It's not like they set out to make a show or anything. It was almost like they foresaw it, like they had prophets that were looking out for this kind of thing. They heard about what happened to me and what I was like, and I was sort of thinking this new prophet was going to be born, and so they're always on scouting out, looking for this guy. And there was, written in the books, his name is Jesus, and all this. So when he was born and grew up, was he expected to heal the sick? So he was very kind. He was expected that of him, so he'd go out of his way to be that way. I think he'd say, perform miracles, Jesus. So he'd sort of learn how to do tricks and sort of, make things appear. And he was well loved, around town. But when all the girls started liking him, all the prostitutes from Rome, they'd come down the village to be with him, and he wouldn't sleep with all of them, but he'd, have a good time with them, and that got Rome upset because that was all their sort of harlots and their sort of girls. And so, that triggered a little chain reaction where, they brandished him the Son of God, and he was kind of innocent man, really, It's funny because it was... If you understand karma, it's kind of like I caused it, because this other guy was just a no one, He ended up... I think after they killed him on the cross, he was dead. No, not on the cross. After after he died, he was just gone, But I had that strength to sort of carry on. And so when I'd come back in this new family, and I didn't have my sisters around me, I was just by myself. They might have come later. It's kind of like I had to carry out that karma that was caused. And I had to sort of sort of die for the sins that have been, developed from all those years of people thinking that this other guy was the Son of God and all these bad things were happening, and I disappeared, I'd been crucified. That was a long time ago, but ever since people have been, that's where the word superstition came from, because people were worshipping the wrong person, they were worshipping just a regular person, not a God. So when I came back, it was almost like I had to live out that destiny to actually become that person that people were expecting. And even in this life, I was almost paying for that same problem, this kind of misunderstanding. Yeah. So I was like, it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember and try and convey it at the same time. I'm a bit tired. I'm buggered actually. It's 6 a.m. But I just felt I have to read this story out, otherwise I'll never be able to sleep this morning if I don't just finish it off. But the rest of the story, is pretty much what the Bible sort of said, but the way everyone beset upon me was just I'd love to make a movie about it, but I sent an email to Mel Gibson's representatives, and I didn't hear anything back. But I just wanted him to talk to me about it and just say, what was it really like, And I'm careful with my words. I don't want to give anything much away, but yeah, it wasn't really like you see in the movies. It wasn't like that at all. The towns were different, the people were different, the way they behaved. They're relating these movies to modern day, and it's American too, to make it all violent. It wasn't really like that, there were rules and things, the church were governing it, so. But towards the end, when everyone beset upon me, it was quite disgusting. It was like the whole of history was coming down on top of me, like everyone was showering me with all their grief and hatred, and but it's funny, I never felt a thing. It's like I wasn't there. Really strange. I was put in the cell. They brought me out. They condemned me in front of everyone. And I remember, so I hadn't seen my dad since way back, when he died on the cross, because he thought that we were all going to die, and so his spirit didn't want to come back. And he suffered like the worst cruelty anyone's suffered since. He's never had a good life till now. Not knowing that we were alive till we came back to him somehow through some sheer miracle, really, that we found our family again, together. And it's probably taken a lot of grief and misfortune in our family to actually come back together, but it's a shame that it sort of got broke up again in a way by, I know the government doesn't like taking the blame, but sort of changing the payments and things made it too hard on Dad, and he couldn't look after us just working himself, and he needed that bit extra money to pay for the power to get the house finished. And but anyway, getting back to what I was saying, the story of Jesus was crucified, and it was like me coming back to say sorry for sort of, I should never give my name away to that guy, It was almost like I was coming back to reclaim it, you know. The name of God is, it's an important name, you know, Jesus, you know. I don't go by that name now because I don't feel God's important to me anymore, because I've done so much work in my life that it's almost like I've become more than that, a Superman now. So I don't sort of think about God. God's more what takes care of the animals and sort of just human beings. You know, I'm sort of a bit beyond that now. Without sounding arrogant, I've just done so much work that I just felt like I was ready just for a beautiful romance. I didn't need to think about God or whether I was worshipping anything or anything. I just wanted a beautiful life, a loving wife, family, not even think about anything. I kind of couldn't get that, so I had to go to heaven myself by drawing upon that superpower within that I developed, you know, from probably a lot of work I've done and a lot of worship. And I mean, it really spurred on the last few centuries when all these stories come out I'd written, and these movies, and people sitting around watching them without knowing really they're worshipping, idolizing my spirit, you know, my being, my soul. And I make use of that, and it's hard work for me too. I have to put up with all that and answer it back and everything, to the point where I've sort of supernovaed, you know, I've sort of become my own universe. It may not seem apparent because I haven't been married, I just don't look much different, you know, but I'd be a lot different if I was married. You know, I wouldn't be so, you know, I'd be more refined, more defined. I'd look more like, I'd be all wobbly, and all my jaw would be bigger. It's all tight. I always have problems in here. All my ear canals all tied up. It should all be, you know, like this, you know. I can't sort of. People look at you, you look like Superman. It's like, yeah, but I feel like it, but I can't quite get into the shape of it because I'm not in love, you know. Superman's embraced and loved by the whole world, you know. So it's a frustrating feeling I have to live with, but until I either get married or move on or whatever. But it's not the aim in life to look like Superman, but it's nice to feel like, you know, your authentic self, you know. Everyone wants to feel their best, you know. Well, you know, whatever that is for everyone. The best might be their worst. There might be a bit of a, you know, goth or something, or but yeah, the funny thing is, you know, it was sort of like a reenactment to sort of come back and reclaim that name, Jesus, you know. I don't think I was even born with it. I think it was just given to me. I think my name was Emmanuel or something. It was just known as the name of God, Jesus, you know. So that's how I got my name back. But yeah, I moved on now. I don't need to use it, but I don't mind if people call me Jesus, if it helps them. If it helps them feel good, it's fine, but just don't make a negative thing about it all, you know. It doesn't have to be negative. It can just be something people do if they want, or they don't even have to do anything. They can just absolutely ignore me and go about their life. I don't mind. But it makes a better world when you are loved, you know. It's very important for people to love each other. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to come across problems and hurt and pain if you don't love that God spirit, you know. It's doing all this work out there to put the world back together, and if you're on board, it really does make the world a better place, more active, more enjoyable for everyone, you know. There was that point I was going to bring up. I died on the cross. I sort of went willingly again. I was like, I was put in prison, and what was I going to say? Yeah, when I came out, I was just put in front of the judges, and I hadn't really done anything wrong. It's just they labelled me. So they wanted to sort of get rid of me. So because I was, sleeping with all these prostitutes and things, and disobeying the church's laws, because all these, I was sort of like, I suppose I was the epitome of fame, really. That's why I've always been famous, I guess, because I started fame in a way. That's what Jesus was, the beginnings of fame. And it wasn't just being killed or crucified. It was all the good deeds I did. I made people feel great, and they'd come down and they'd want to be with me, and but yeah, Dad sort of wasn't around. He'd just come back, we didn't spend much time together, me and Dad. But I'd cry out to Dad. I cried out on the cross, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? Like, why has everyone turned on me? And because Dad was dead by then, But I always spoke to Dad like he was a power out there or something, It wasn't just my dad. It was like my father was sort of my higher spirit, my connection to Dad as well. It was like of the Father, of the Son, and it was sort of our connection. I kept in contact with the idea that there was more to life than just living and dying. I wanted to believe there was a heaven and sort of places to go, and Dad wasn't just dead, he was somewhere I could go to, and I'd sort of cry out to him. And we always want our parents to live on, don't we, It's not always the case. But my parents are still here now. I've tried to take care of them best I can even though I've gone through problems, I've always tried to be positive to them, always tried to be reassuring. Even though I present them with problems, I always try and deal with them myself as best I can. I don't expect them to do everything. Even when I was really sick, I'd always try and be cheerful when Mum had come home, even though I was very miserable. So I didn't want her to feel bad, I didn't want to laden her with my burdens, and so I knew she had to work each day. Performing miracles, there's probably some I couldn't do, and they caught me out. Probably trying to raise the dead or something. I was going to say something before, I can't think what it was. It was important to the whole story, but I can't think what it is now. I can't listen back to see what it was. Bloody annoying. I suppose about reclaiming that name, I've done heaps of stuff through history. I've been famous people all through history. Not always. Sometimes I've had a break, but then I'd have to come back and do more work to make everyone feel good again. And and you believe that or not, I don't mind. This is just a little story to tell. You can think about it. You can reject it. You can believe it. It's not going to hurt you if you believe it or reject it. It won't hurt you. It's just a story. Just something to think about in your mind. And you think, that's bullshit, all that. Making it all up, Evan. It's like, these are the memories I carry. This is a small little segment of the massive history I remember, It's an important slice of history, but it's nothing to get caught up on. There's heaps of other. Make your own history. Don't dwell on Jesus, Don't dwell on him all day. Just be someone yourself, Be remembered. I'm trying this life to do something memorable. Trying to help the environment. Not getting very far online, so I might change tact. But I'd like to just clear up that confusion about getting obsessed about the Bible and carrying all that stigma all the time. I cannot think what it was. It was some important point I was going to say. Desert, no. Oh, I can't think of it. Anyway, it's pretty late. I might go to bed, but I hope you enjoyed that story, and nothing you're angry about or upset about, or it's just some nice story to think about. I've always come back as a god. I was Achilles, I was Da Vinci, I was Mozart. I don't like to say I was Elvis. People get upset because I don't look exactly the same. But he's in there somewhere. I was sort of 300 people at that time. I'd sort of broken apart. It took a long time to come back, doing all sorts of things to get back to one, I'm sure if I looked my best, you'd see it. You'd go, oh, hang on, is that Elvis? You'd see part of that Elvis in there. But he's gone now. His soul's moved on to something else. So he's done his work getting me back to normal, getting me back to square one, so I don't have to be him anymore. We'll always be connected, I think. Yeah. They have different faces, really, but it's just because mine suffered a lot. I didn't see him just sitting there, just sort of resting amongst 300 other guys and this body of Christ sitting here. Just doing that, just staring, sleeping. Not sleeping, just resting. Just looking. It's funny how we're made up. We're sort of an organism on the inside and an organism on the outside. Sort of connected on the inside and connected on the outside. I don't think anyone else is. I think other people might have one or two or three other people. I'm sort of 300. I don't know why I'm so many, but well, I know why, but I don't want to say why again. I've mentioned it too many times. But they're all just, it's not like I put 300 people in one body. It's more, all I got is really is a bigger soul. Because I've done so much work, I've sort of grown appendages, and each person's an appendage, It's like growing other limbs, other arms, other heads, other bodies. Other people just, they work, as much as they can, but it's just very repetitive stuff. Because I tend to try and always come up with new things. When you do that, like I used to inspire the troops. When I was Achilles, I'd put my sword up and everyone would cheer, and I'd take that power into me, I did that all through the ages. People would cheer at me until sort of these lifetimes. Everyone's cheering on, like playing music or whatever, It's almost, this is the first lifetime in a way I haven't had that experience. It's sort of been sort of out there somewhere on the internet, where you don't really get the feedback properly. It's sort of out there a little bit, but other people are so obsessed with other people, doesn't make any difference. You're almost null and void. There's so many other famous people. Excuse me, I've sort of moved on from there now, So I don't sort of need that. Elvis needed, as soon as he was born, he needed to be famous. As soon as he started playing music, he wanted an audience. I never wanted that. I just wanted to enjoy all the things I'd made, and I suppose just not meeting my wife in time or whatever sort of upset really the romance, but I still got to do everything else, The internet's been good. You can share your work and stuff. Maybe I should do more of that. Just write music, make material, and just share it. Not blabber on so much on Facebook or even on YouTube. But I did plan to do it, but I just got set back a bit with school and ran out of inspiration for a while. I feel a bit more enthusiastic about it. I think I was going to finish the story after I went to jail. I came out. Of course, no one wanted to know me. They're all denying me again, So history kind of repeats itself sometimes, A bit like this life. I sort of went through that rave party and went through the hospital, and it was sort of like judgment, and no one wanted to know me again. I sort of lost all my friends again, Sort of a harsh sort of aggression in a way, in a sort of neutral sort of way. It's sort of funny. Passive-aggressive sort of hatred towards you, just maybe for what you did to yourself, to hurt them like that. It's like when people kill themselves, people aren't so much sad, they're angry, They're angry they did that to us and did that to themselves, Why'd they do that? But I'm lucky my family stuck around as much as they did. They could have all buggered off and left me in the street to die, I guess, but they helped me along, which is good, That's what it was, yeah, like I come out of the prison. I'll try and finish by an hour, so another 10 minutes, but I came out of the prison and I remember standing in front of all these priests and judges and generals and people, and um, they said, you the Son of Man. I just said, if you say I am, I must be. I didn't want to admit it or not admit it. I didn't want to say it wasn't true. I didn't want to say it was true. I just put the blame on them because they're the ones who were doing the assault on me, in a way, trying to find out this information. So it wasn't really my doing. It was just I was just being kind, and people liked me for it. So why would I to be blamed for that? Because I had this knack with people. People are angry at me because, I'm helping people and they're sort of looking bad. Oh, look at this guy from little town takes on the whole of the Roman Empire or whatever, and everyone's loving him, this little bloke, and well, what about us, If they had seen that really these girls just wanted a bit of a break, then they would have gone home again. They just wanted something new, Girls get bored. They don't just want to sit around, being beautiful and being admired and just used for sex. They want a bit of adventure, get out there, see new stuff. Seek out new people, new experiences. I mean, I knew that. I used to talk to them about it and ask them what their hopes and dreams were, and they never asked them anything like that. They were just assumed they were just whores, And, but yeah, when I was in that court and they were all just staring down at me, and it was almost like I stepped out of myself for a minute. I looked down upon myself. I suppose you could say it was the fear, but it was also calmness and a sort of sense of power. In that moment, for just a few minutes or a few seconds, I was outside the building watching myself, And I just put my head down like that. I was standing in front of everyone, and I just went like that, put my head down. Oh, it's hard to do it lying down. I had my cloak on, my head thing. I just put my head down like that. I just smiled like this. I just smiled and I just said, what was it? Something like, I am the way, the light, and the truth, or something I said. And I looked up at them again and they all just shocked, And I said something like that really, got them angry. I was smiling like this, just smiling. And I said, if your will is sin or something, then I said, I'm the way, the truth, and the light. If your will is sin, I shall win this day, or something like that. No matter what you do, or something like that. I said something like that, and they got so angry. They just grabbed me and took me away. And as I was walking up the hill, The cross, I didn't carry my cross. It was all already up there. They had them all nailed in the ground, But all the way up there, they flogged me walking up the hill to make me walk up the hill. They would flog you, with heavy whips. It wasn't on my back, it was on my clothing. They weren't that cruel, like to dig lumps of skin out of you or anything. You were just flogged, to make you move. And you weren't allowed to run. If you run, they'd knock you over and then flog you more, So you had to just walk up getting flogged, like they call you like a donkey sort of ass or whatever. I remember walking up the hill. The first time they hit my back with the whip, first time they hurt me, I felt that calmness come over me again, just as it hit me. And I felt myself say, be not afraid. And I was watching myself walk up the hill from above, And it was almost like the pain just wasn't there. I couldn't feel it. And I might have been, hitting my head around and walking up like that. But back then we were so free. We weren't caught up in all these trappings, these material trappings, It was almost like we were just already spirit back then, We weren't even flesh barely. And the moment that whip hit me, I was so pure that I just died straight away. I just watched myself walk up the hill, get put up on the cross. Everything happened to me. I watched it from above. And then, because of what they did to me, it gave me awareness, because it gave me that feeling that I was going to survive. And my spirit sort of walked off. And I remember it was almost like you fall asleep while you're up there and you see yourself walking away. But really, it is you walking away, It's not a dream in your mind, you are gone. And before I died, I was already gone, I'd already walked away as a soul. And I remember walking a long way, it's hard to describe the exact feeling, how to convey it. I've got 2 minutes left, so I'll quickly just say the ending is sort of like being blasted apart at the very end, And I saw myself just become everything at once, And that's when, Mary Magdalene saw me walking out of the sarcophagus, she saw the body gone, and I'd totally blasted myself to bits. I'd gone, and I just waved a goodbye. That was the last thing anyone saw of me. So, and I'd become that 300 beings again, and my actual body of Christ was just obliterated. So you can ask how that happened, where the body went, was it taken? But she saw me walk off like a body. It was like she killed me, She saw me in the flesh, and that body that I wasn't actually real anymore. So, it's almost like Mary Magdalene was the end killer in the way. She sort of knocked me off right at the end, but also gave me life, because I saw her as well, and I'd walked off as a person. And yeah, but I was also destroyed. I'd just become everything at once. It took that long to come back to that point again, of being a human being again.